Hi darlings, this is Christina and today we have a simple, everyday, beginner-friendly makeup routine, one that I do very regularly, and this is really catered to my more seasoned darlings 40 plus. Yes, any age can get wisdom and understand how to use makeup better and overall application, but this is really catered to my seasoned darlings. So let's talk about the basics. When you are, I would say, mid 30s and up, skincare is always important. Let's make no mistake about that. But for me, I didn't have the need to have a really dedicated skincare routine until I was in my mid to late 30s. For me, I didn't notice any problems with my skin. What I found was I really needed a designated skincare routine as I was seeing my pores were becoming more enlarged and my skin was overall just not complying, not working well with makeup, like foundations and things. And the foundations I wore before, which let me tell you, before this channel, I had one foundation. It was the Lancome. I can't recall which, but I wore that for years and it was all I wore. And it worked just fine for me. Now that I have this this YouTube channel, it has allowed me to discover and explore new foundations, new formulas, and so many things that work so well. So with all my experience, okay, being really combination skin, I'm going to show you step by step how I do my makeup, but I'm also going to give you some options as to what best suits you. Now, makeup and skincare is very personal, so things I like, you may not like, and vice versa. These are the things that worked for me. So I'll show you, I'm not going to show you applying it. I already have it on my skincare, but I will show you a side-by-side of the skincare that I have been trying for quite a while. Some of it I have been using for years, others for maybe about 3 to 6 months. But these things have made a real difference in my overall skin, the elasticity, the glow, the hydration, and the way my makeup applies. These are the things that I use on a daily basis. The vitamin C, I have alternated. Forever I was using the SkinCeutical Fluoritine Gel, and this I purchased because I was at a spa. They recommended it for me, and I was out of the SkinCeuticals, so it was about the same amount, honestly, like $170. So this is nice. I'm not sure which I prefer. I feel like it's about the same. All of these things, let me be very clear, have helped my skin tremendously, okay? So I can't pinpoint which is better than the other, but I can tell you that they have all been significant in my life and in my skin. This is my skin with just basically these things and my SPF, which has been the same for years, which is the ELTAMD, and I prefer the tinted version. So you will see, like, I do have some dark circles. I have very scarce eyebrows. You know, I do have some pigmentation. You know, I have gone for treatments. I do a nighttime routine that does include a retinol of sort, which I'll go over in another video, but these things also help. But this is for morning. I try to keep it real nice and simple. So these are the things I start off with, okay? My makeup will not be the same if I don't have these things in the beginning of the day. Like I don't leave the house without these things. Let me just put it like that. Next thing I want to tell you is less is more. Especially as we get older, you can't layer a whole lot of products on your skin because you'll find that it will not look as seamless and as luminous as you would like, as it may, you know, get into your creases, your pores, very unflattering on your skin. The whole goal here for me at this age is to have my skin look like skin perfected. So for me, I prefer a light to medium coverage foundation and skin tints. I have tried many and I will do a comparison in another video, but if I can only have two skin things, it would be the Dior Forever Hydra Nude foundation. I have it in 3N. And let me tell you how game-changing this foundation has been for me. Do you see how much I've used? I think I purchased this in January of 2025, and I'm already halfway done. And I have so many foundations, guys. I have like maybe 10. in my current collection, and this is the one I reach for on a regular basis. And the second would be the Lisa Eldridge and her Seamless Tint Enhancing Tint. Now, this is in T8. I do think she needs one more shade in between 8 and 9 because I think I'm a little darker than this, but this works fine. I use this on my no makeup days, and I use this on my regular work days. If I can only have two, these would be the ones I would recommend. Now, I've never really been a primer girl, okay? But this RMS Beauty Re-Evolve Radiance Locking Primer has to be one of my favorite primers, okay? I bought this last year, and I have to say, this primer is so lovely. This primer makes the skin look so supple and luminous and juicy. Like, yes, I already have the skincare that makes my skin look juicy, but this just keeps your makeup looking so beautiful throughout the day. I really do notice a difference when I don't use this primer, and of all the primers I have, this is my favorite, most used. Now, I do enjoy a, what is it? Like an enhancer of sorts in my foundation. And by far, my favorite to date has to be the Chanel, the Fluid Illuminator in Iridescent. It's an iridescent illuminating fluid. Now, I love this. I hate that it is limited edition, but it may be available for quite a while because I don't think a lot of people know how fantastic this really is. In fact, I didn't even like it when I originally purchased it. It took me a minute to like really get into it. And I use it every day, and I have so much left. This is why I haven't got a backup, because I was like, there's so much in here and you need so little, just a drop. It gives the most beautiful, luminous look to the skin. I know you see a theme here. It's all about luminosity. Now, you could put this by itself over like a primer, and I'm sure it'd be beautiful, but my preference is to actually use it and mix it with my foundation. It's my favorite, and in fact, I've used it with many foundations. I love it all, but since Dior is my favorite at this time, the Hydra Nude, I'm going to show you a mixer. So I put like a pump of my foundation and like the smallest, almost like not even a pump to it there. Okay, so I use so little. Now, one of the biggest things that I found recently in my makeup application is light layers. So I saw the cutest girl talk about she went to Korea and she got her makeup done by a K-pop makeup artist. I will try to link that video down below, or at least her name. But I enjoyed watching this. Korean beauty and skincare is very much in always, right? Because it's all about the natural look, but enhanced, like your best self. So I'm all about that. And I think for women who are a little older, like more mature, I think that's very key, right? Because we want to look like our best. We don't want to have heavy foundation and things, like, for the most part. So I'm going to show you what she showed was do light layers, right? And this is like a $5 Amazon little brush, my favorite makeup brush to date. And what you do is you just kind of, like a painter, paint your face like so, okay? And you can do as many layers as you like, but what you're not gonna do is put all the foundation on your face right away. What you do is you layer, okay, the first layer, and you see how much coverage do you want. Like right here is good, and then you take a damp beauty sponge and you lightly press it on. So this is where I'm at right here with the foundation, which I like, but I do like just a smidge more coverage, especially in the places that I feel like are my problem areas, like the parts I have the hyperpigmentation and then my pores, right? And there is another way that you can actually, you know, keep those pores from showing, but you need to add powder prior to this, and I'm just not going to do that right this second. And it's not that big a deal right now. Then I take my damp beauty blender. This is just going to make sure everything settles in its place. Looks nice and seamless and fresh. And voila, we are done. The skin looks juicy, it looks luminous, it looks like my skin but better, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Guerlain Meteorites, and this is in 3 medium doré, and I just swirl. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over my eyelid and my brows with like a eyebrow brush that is specifically for this. Why? The reason I do it like this, one, if I don't want to do a whole lot of eyeshadow, which we're doing an everyday easy routine, this is why. Because this is kind of like luminous of a powder. These pearls are so fine and so beautiful that if I just decide to put like a little shimmer, we're good. I don't need to add a crease color, right? I can just add a little shimmer to my lid and we're good. Also, what happens is, because I will be using many things on my eyebrows to give me fuller brows, this powder helps to lay everything down so it's not wet as I apply my base. So that's why I do that. You can choose any type of luminous powder that you like. This happens to be my favorite. This also is the only thing I will set my under eyes with. I don't always set my under eyes, but if I do, I use this because it's just, for me, the lightest of powders, and I don't like to have any heavy powder under my eyes. So this works in many ways for me. So now we're going to do my brows, which would seem complicated, but I've been doing it so long, it takes me very little time to actually accomplish this look. So this is my tried and true Brow Blade Urban Decay. I mean, it's all I pretty much use. I go back to it all the time. This is in Dark Drapes, and it has a pencil side and it has a ink side, and what I love about it is it allows me to draw brows. It's not the only thing I use. I also use a powder, and then I use a setting gel. And this is wiped off, but this is the Rare Beauty gel, and this typically is what my go-to. It's been my go-to for years. So I'm going to speed this part up, but I will show you how I apply. I also want to note, you want to end your eyebrows where your nose bridge is, okay? So about here. So I try to use it as a guide. That's where I'm going to end going in, okay? So you can see the eyebrows have framed the face. It's a huge difference. Eyebrows will set the tone for your makeup. So it's the first thing I do. It's the first thing I set, and I feel already so put together. So if nothing else, make sure your eyebrows are on point. While I've done my eyebrows, what it's done, it's allowed me my foundation to set a bit. Here's now where I do my powder. This is, once again, my Guerlain powder. And I love Guerlain. And I will say, right off the bat, a few of my favorite makeup brands are Chanel, Dior, Guerlain. And you're going to see a lot of those products today because they just work for me and my skin. So I will be recommending the things that I use the most and that I found that work for me. And you'll find brands like that. They may not be these, but these are the brands I found to be tried and true. Not everything in the brand works, you know, but certain things I found that I just really love. So this is in the color 3. This is the diamond powder. It's so fine. It is my favorite to date powder. Like, I was never a powder person. Like, I would do it, but I never loved it as much as I do, but now. So what I'll do is I'll just take a little. It's so nice, guys. And this will also help your makeup set throughout the day. Look, so pretty. And it's not drying. What it's gonna do is just gonna let this base, it's just gonna fill in all the gaps. It's gonna make sure everything lays very nicely. I know it feels like we've done a lot, but let me tell you, these little steps don't take a long time. It's just, I'm showing you, and it's, you know, step by step, but these things take me like less than 10 minutes to do on a regular basis. So now that everything's set, everything's dry. Now what I'm gonna do, I tend to like to do my eyes next because it'll tell me how much blush to use, what color blush to use, and also like my lip situation. So I told you we don't really need a crease color because I have already set it with that beautiful Guerlain meteorite pearls. So what I'm gonna do now, what I've been liking to do, I've always loved a very intricate eye look, but more recently I've been just liking to do the most simple of things. So you, once again, can choose anything you want. Now this is the Chanel, the new golden palette. I love this palette. I'm not going to use everything though. I'm going to show you the one I'm going to use is this beautiful shimmer, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that, and yes, you can use your finger. Sometimes I'll spray a brush and use it that way so I can get a little more payoff. But with this color, I'm just gonna leave as is. It's a pretty warm color, so it will show up a little more brightly. So I'm gonna show you if you wanna tone it down. P.S. There are all kinds of Le Beige palettes. This is just the newest one and the one I love the most. For me and my skin tone, it's the most lovely. So as you can see, I gave my eyes a little bit of pretty shimmer. Now is use any type of, you know, spray. I'll show you what this is that I'm using right now later. But I'll take any type of brush. Now this is the Chanel Rivage palette. It is a limited edition. The Chanel Golden is not. This will, you know, be in all the retailers, be part of their Le Beige eyeshadow line. But this is not something you can pick up now. Doesn't matter though. You can pick up any type of shade that's got this kind of, it's almost like a sand pink color. Now, I'd be lying if I told you that I know a dupe for this, because I've been trying to find a dupe for this as long as I can recall. The closest one is the Dior single eyeshadow in the coral glitter, but that's not my favorite formula. It does dry up very quickly, so I'm not going to recommend it. I'm still looking for a nice dupe for this, but if you have something in your collection very similar, that's what I would use. But anywho, I like to put this over top because what it'll do is it's going to tone it down just a touch. So you can see with this color, it actually is a lot lighter of a look. It looks more like skin, just a little enhanced. So that's why I say find a color in your collection. We have so many, guys. And or if you have just the one color, you don't have to mix. But I like to use my products up, so I find that I just mix things that I already have instead of constantly trying to buy the newest thing. I would just look for things in my collection. So as you can see, that gives a beautiful look to the eyes. You don't have to do this, but if you want a little bit of depth, okay, this is the Chanel Latte Frappe color, and it is the most beautiful neutral. Now, this is a limited edition, so once again, if it's still available, I will link it, but you could pick something that's a very neutral, warm brown. For me, it's a neutral warm, and I'll just put a little, like where the shadows are, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. I don't want too much of this depth because we're going for everyday easy look. In fact, you could even use your bronzer, which is likely what I should have done. But if you don't have like a neutral brown in your collection, you can absolutely use your bronzer. Oftentimes test my bronzers to see if it'll also work for my eyeshadow. That's like a test. It has to work. I like to just frame the under eyes here. Now, I know you're wondering, Christina, you have not done your under eyes. I have not. I will do it now. Because if I start doing my concealer before my eyeshadow, what ends up happening is things are falling, then I have to retouch. I don't want to deal with that. The two concealers that I love the most, the House Labs and the Sublumage, the Chanel Sublumage concealer. I wear 32 in that shade, and this shade is 22 light medium peach. You want to pick a shade very close to your skin tone, maybe a bit, for me, because I have those darker circles, I like to be a bit orange, and so that's why this color is so perfect for me. What I like to do also after I apply my eyeshadow is make sure that everything is looking lifted. So that's another reason I like to wait and do my concealer, because I can clean up those edges. So that's where I kind of leave it. And yes, I have already done the powder and all the things, but you're gonna see it's not gonna be crazy. Okay, it's gonna look very seamless still. I'm gonna take that seamless spray. I'm gonna pat my brush, and people say you can wait, and you can wait for your concealer and all that, but for me, I sometimes don't wait. Okay, but with this concealer, I feel like I don't need to wait. I don't feel like it gets creasy. It is emollient concealer, so I try to open my eye and make sure that I can get it into the lines as best I can so it doesn't crease. But it is the most beautiful concealer for women with under eye lines, right? Because I do have those lines under my eyes. Like I said, I am 41. I haven't had any cosmetic procedures like Botox or filler or anything like that. So I do have the natural progression of aging happening, and I'm okay with it. I just need it to look the best that I possibly can and not highlight those areas, and this is why sometimes I don't powder. As long as I recall, I can tell you I have not been a cream blush person or a liquid blush person. I don't like them. I have said many times before. Well, I have to tell you, something has happened to me where I have actually grown to love liquid blushes. A brand that really made me love these blushes are the Rhode Beauty blushes. There is something so special. Now this is in Freckle, and this is in Spicy Marg. Now, I thought this was just a young brand, right? Because it's Hailey Bieber's line, and I'm like, meh. It took me so long to try it, but let me tell you, there's something so beautiful about this formula. Not only is it beautifully pigmented, it just lays on the skin so lovely. So I have really enjoyed these blushes, as well as the Armani Luminous blushes, the Luminous Silk blushes. These two have convinced me that there is something so beautiful and necessary for our skin at this age. I rarely use them by themselves. I use them underneath my blushes because I feel like it gives a juicy, luminous look. And forever, I try to apply this method, but this is why you need the right formula for your skin. These may not be your favorite, but for me, these work really well. Not highlighting my large pores and doing all the things I've done prior really help prep, but it still is the formula. These two are my absolute favorites. First thing I'm gonna do is bronzer. There are so many good bronzers out there, but I'm gonna tell you these are my favorite. If you are oily skin kind of gal, the Hermes Atlas, for me, my tone, is one of the most beautiful bronzers. This is actually my second one. I actually dropped it my first one, but I was almost done with it anyway. It's a very expensive bronzer, okay? Make no mistake about it, but I think it's worth every penny if it's your only bronzer. This is beautiful, and I think it works on all skin types, but it has this beautiful finish where it lays on the skin like a matte, but it just blends into the skin so seamlessly. So for me, this is a gorgeous, beautiful bronzer for ladies 40 plus. If you really like a luminous skin, but not really vibrant bronzer blush, this terracotta from Guerlain, this is in the light 02 medium cool. This is such a beautiful bronzer. Let me see if I can put it here. Hermes and then the Guerlain. As you can see, they're very different in tone, but that finish is just so gorgeous. So when I don't want to do a blush, I'll just put this on, and it is so gorgeous. It's a beautiful bronzer blush. Okay, this is definitely the most expensive bronzer, and I would recommend purchasing this during one of the Nordstrom sales or any sales from Sisley or anybody. Somebody is always having like a 20% or 15% at some point. It only comes in one color, but if you like a shimmering, like sun-kissed mermaid-esque bronzer, look no further. This is such a beautiful bronzer. It really is. It is so luminous looking. And for our skin, shimmers aren't really it, right? It's gonna highlight texture and pores, and it's not flattering. This formula is so beautifully crafted. It gives you a luminous look. It's a little deeper, so I really like this during the summertime. It is gorgeous, okay? But for the sake of this video, I'll do Hermes on my right, and then I'm gonna do the Guerlain on my left. So as you can see, how beautiful is this bronzer? It just gives the most beautiful sun-kissed look. And I'll take it and I'll tap off the excess, and it just gives this beautiful warmed up look. Bronzer is for warmth, right? Where the sun naturally hits you. Contour is for, sharpening things and shadows, creating shadows in places. I'm not a big contour, to be perfectly frank. I definitely prefer bronzer. I'm not, taking pictures and, doing editorial things. This is the Guerlain. So I'm going to show you on this side. That way you guys can also see like the difference. This is definitely a more denser pack brush. I like to typically do a looser brush, but I can't find one of my fluffier brushes that I use for bronzer, so we're gonna rock with it. It's okay. It's still gonna give us a beautiful finish. So I want to see if you can notice the difference. So we have Hermes here and the Guerlain. I'm gonna just kind of blend, and now we've waited a bit, and I've washed my fingers. Now you're gonna see where those lines kind of start picking out. This is where I pat them out very lightly. Okay, and then if you want to set, if you're a person who likes to set, I'll take that same little fluffy brush. I keep it designated for this powder, and I'll lightly swirl. I'll pat the excess. I'm not going to double dip. I literally just use a little, and I pat. That's it. That's it. That's all. We're not going to go any further. We just tap a little. You cannot overdo. You can't overdo powder under your eyes, okay? There's another little thing I do. It has vastly improved how my under eyes look. There's something to your eyes looking more luminous and radiant than set with a powder. So oftentimes I won't set my under eyes, just FYI. But if you're a person who likes to set it, I want to show you how that works. But I'll always put this underneath and I just let it sit there. I leave it on. This is the Sicily Eye Contour Mask, and it's very expensive. So once again, get it on sale, but you need so little, and I've had this for months and I still have so much left. It does something to my eyes, my under eyes, that I just can't explain. They look healthy, hydrated. They make sure those lines don't look emphasized. I wear glasses on a regular, so if I wear contacts, you kind of notice these things more, and it makes me feel so comfortable to wear contacts with you on screen because the glasses hide the bags and the lines a little bit. Look how luminous this makes my eyes look. There's a reason why this is well loved. It's a cult classic. Many of the Victoria's Secret angels use this. So many makeup artists. There's a reason. It does something so beautiful to your under eye area, especially for us over 40. Now we have finished that. Let's go with my newest favorite. This is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk in 50S. I will write down the name here, and everything of course will be linked down below. This is the most beautiful color. I love this color. It's like almost like a hot pink orange for my skin tone. So it's kind of like Spicy Marg, but on a lighter base. It's got a lighter tone to it. I'm just gonna pop a little here, just a few little dots. I like to place my blush higher because I like it to look a little more youthful. I like more emollient blushes because when it comes to these, you know, non-powder blushes, because I feel like they're just a better formula overall. Creams can, to me, be problematic, but more emollient blushes just, they do something for me, I feel like, that creams do not. So I like the liquids better. And this is a beautiful color. And if I was going, you know, on errands or something on my no makeup days, I would leave it just like this and I would be okay with it. Regular days, I don't typically just leave this because it doesn't last as long for me. And I try to blend it up into the bronzer. This is the color. Isn't it pretty? Now we're gonna lay a actual powder blush over top. The newly reformulated Chanel blushes. This is in 55 in Love. I can stand behind this. I love this blush. It's one of my favorites. Any Chanel limited edition blush, typically, I can stand behind. Also, the YSL blushes are a nice, beautiful formula. They are so pretty. This is in Rose Haze, and it's another beautiful formula. So, look at that. It's just a nice matte that's a little bit luminous, because when it comes to mattes, you don't want them to be too crazy. Like, they can't be so matte and drying that it's just not going to be flattering on your skin. So you want a luminous matte, and that's why I'm going to add the Chanel. This is a Bubble Shikahodo brush, one of my favorite blush brushes. It's tapered, so it's going to taper up, but also it is a mix of squirrel and Shikahodo goat hair brush. None of these animals are harmed. They take them like leftovers and then like purify them and put them in here. But anywho, it gives a very light touch. So if you have a very pigmented blush, I honestly recommend getting a natural brush of sorts. There's so many on the market. Rephr has another nice formula, but honestly, I just really prefer this. It's just so pretty. So I put this over top. And what the mixture of these two things do is, one, as you can see, it's kind of set it down so it'll make it last all day. Also, you're gonna get a very luminous, beautifully hydrated, juicy look on your cheeks that you wouldn't get if you just applied powder. And since I've been doing this method for the last month, layering the liquid with the blush, I've been getting so many compliments from so many of my patients at my job They just love it. And the reason why is because it looks so natural, right? It looks so like your skin, but better without being overdone. That is so key. Highlighters. There are so many you could do, but I stand behind my Chanel highlighters. I love them. They are my favorite. So if you want to highlight, this is the Chanel Jeu de Lumiere. I've talked about this blush so many times. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing about it, but it may still be available. It didn't sell out in all the retailers. So I would go over top. And any, by the way, any Chanel highlighter, limited edition, are like my favorites. So this is just the most natural. You can use this on your eyes too. Oh my gosh, I love this highlighter. But if you have a highlighter you love and a brand that you really trust, I'll go over top like this. It's so unnecessary because of what I've just done, but if you are a highlighter person, this is one of my favorite formulas. So now that we have set everything, we're pretty much finished. We are going to just spray. I like to do this. This is where you're gonna see my fancy fan. Not only do I love how it feels and how it dries down, something about just feeling of the sound of this fan is very like therapeutic for me. So in the morning when I'm doing my makeup, I just love hearing the sound of this. And this is the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Makeup Enhancing Mist. It does not set the makeup necessarily, but it does blend everything in very beautifully. Okay, so now that I've seen everything, I'm kind of assessing what's going on here. What I'll do is I'll take that lightest shade of eyeshadow. I'm going to spray the back of my hand. I'm going to put my very small Refer 23 brush. I'm going to take that light color and I'm going to go on the inner corner of my eye. And I choose the lighter shade because if it's lighter, it kind of just brings a little more reflection and light to the inner corner, which is going to just give a refined look. It's not too hard. If you choose the darker of your shades, it's going to bring a little more attention versus just being a little bit of an enhancer to make your eyes just look a little more elegant, more refined. I also like to take that lighter shade and I go right underneath my pupil. I'll put a little bit of that shimmer. And the reason why is it does something to where light is drawn. So when people see you, it gives an illusion. Now, if you're a person who likes juice and not highlight, meaning juice, meaning you want your cheeks to look a little juicy, a little luminous, look no further than the Chanel Balm Essential. This is in the color Moonlight. I picked this up actually not long ago, and I've wanted this since it came out last year, but it doesn't even matter. You can pick any Balm Essential. They're all beautiful, okay? But Moonlight has this little bit of pinky luminousness to it that doesn't have shimmer. So between this and Mermaid Glow, which is another limited edition Balm Essential, this one just doesn't enhance as much as it doesn't have as much sparkle as the Mermaid Glow. So I like this, and I'll put this right on the bone of your cheeks and just a little down the center of your nose and the tip. The Balm Essentials are beautiful. This is absolutely my favorite formula for liquid anything. Like, it's just beautiful the way they lay, the way they last all day. You can even use them on your lips if you want it, like this. I'll show you. Now, they don't last obviously on your lips as well as they do on your cheeks, but they're not sticky. They're just such a beautifully developed formula. I've tried many of the balmy things like this, and still Chanel tends to be my favorite. I would say by lunchtime I need a little touch up, and even then, if I only use the skin enhancer, I will use my Dior Backstage powder. If you want a little more coverage and if you want to just blend everything in, I will do this, especially during the summertime, the summer months. This is such a beautiful formula. I am beyond disappointed that Dior has discontinued this. I am hoping and praying they come back with it because it's still my favorite. But the next best thing, okay, it's still not quite the same because this has a almost, I can't explain this formula, but it's almost like a gel formula in a powder form, almost like the Sicily bronzer, but in a powder for your face. It is the most beautiful formula, and I hope it comes back, and I hope it's just as beautiful. But if it doesn't, this is the new Givenchy Prisme Libre press powder. For me and my skin tone, I do like the number 5, and this is Poplin Mimosa. It's also going to be very mattifying, very blurring on the skin, and I should probably show you on the same hand. So this is right here, the Givenchy. So you can see it's very close to my skin tone. And then this is the Dior, and this is in shade number 3. It's just a little warmer. So Dior, and then the Givenchy. So yeah, so they're very close. Like I said, the Dior is just a bit warmer. The Givenchy's a little lighter, but the formulas are both really pretty. I still prefer Dior, but this is the next best thing since the Dior is no longer available. It just blended everything so beautifully. So I tend to only do one eyeliner. I do have a few gel liners, but liquid tends to be my favorite. It does have a little bit of a learning curve, but I will tell you, I do prefer colored liners over your traditional black because it tends to give you just a little something something. Now, the ones I like are the Chanel Allay liners, and this is in the color 536. This is almost like a Bordeaux brown red color. It's so pretty. Just gonna apply. I like to start inner and work my way out. Like I said, it takes a little learning curve, but this is pretty much the only liquid liner I use. But always less is more, so try not to pick up too much liquid and just go along the lid. And then I angle it upward for the outer. I try to match them up as best I can, but you know, so I look and I see if it works well, but you can see how a little bit of liner, especially liquid, something about liquid liner just does it for me. It just looks so sophisticated and beautiful, and it lasts all day. Then we have the mascaras. So I've tried many, okay? These tend to be some of my favorites. Also the YSL Lash Clash, but since I'm only gonna talk about 2, I will do a comparison in another video. But the Swede is something very special. There's something special about this comb. There's something special about this formula. This is in the brown shade. This brown is definitely more of a dark brown. I do also like those warm browns. The Lisa Eldridge mascara, the new one, also has like a warm brown, very similar to the YSL Lash Clash in the brown. And then my tried and true Chanel Volume. I mean, I can't get away from this mascara and formula. I love it. I'm probably always going to use it. I like to layer 2 different mascaras. As you can see, I'm a big layerer, and this is very key. Now, do you need 2 different mascaras? Absolutely not. But for me, it's just something I like because one mascara is going to lengthen and the other is going to volumize. And since I don't do false lashes, this just works for me. Now, I want to give you a disclaimer. I do have curly eyelashes already, so I don't use a lash curler, right? But if you have very straight lashes, you may want to do that first. So that is the Swede Beauty mascara. Now we're going to do our second layer with the Chanel Volume. You see how just having the Swede gives a very fluttery, beautiful look to the lashes, but adding the Le Volume is going to just give a little more vavoom, and I love a vavoom to my lashes, so that's why I'm going with both. Now, last but not least, we're gonna talk about lips. Oh my gosh, there's so many that you could choose. I love the Chanel Les Tenues lipsticks, so much so I have like 9. I love them because, one, you can use just this one side and you can add like a lip gloss over top if you want like to mix colors. You can mix them together if you want to create your own original color, or you know, if you have a special event you're going to and you don't want to have to worry about touching up, this side with the layered gloss will keep your lips looking beautiful throughout most of the day. Now, if you eat something oily, it will start to wear, but honestly, there's some of my favorite formulas from Chanel and liquid lipsticks in general. If you are more of a lipstick gal, you may love the Dior. These are the velvets, and I love them. The two that I tend to reach for the most, and I have many of these as well, probably about 5 or 6, is the Mitza 625 and the 200. It's a nudish brown. Use them so frequently, so often, and I love this formula. If you're a gloss girl, you may like this combination. Why do I have 2 things? Because I feel glosses on their own don't last, and I typically don't like glosses with lip liners because I feel like the 2 combinations don't mesh well together. So this is Violet Afar's Bijou Balm in Alison. I love this color because it's the perfect nude, and this gives that just bitten lip, so it's almost like a lip blush, right? It's a little matte but not super pigmented, but enough. And I like to add a gloss over top. The one I've been loving so far is the Guerlain BB Kiss Kiss Bee Glow, and this is in Pearly Peony. They came out with a few radiant iridescent shades, and this is so beautiful. So either I'll use this and this, or I'll put it over top of one of these Chanel Les Tenues, or the one only lip liner I've been loving to pair with glosses because it has a similar formula, believe it or not, is the Rhode Beauty lip liners. Now this is in the color Lean. Something about this formula is so beautiful. It is not long wearing, but it's long wearing enough. Like I just blended it here. Very much like the Merit Beauty liner, lip liners. However, these are the tones I like. The Merit Beauty just didn't have any tones that I felt looked good on my skin tone. But let me just show you how this looks for someone. It is a lip contour, they call it, but because it is kind of creamy, if you go over top of your lip like so, it doesn't look too harsh and it doesn't look crazy. It does look like it just gives your lips the most beautiful contour, right? You could use this with a contour powder or stick, but I just think this is so easy. You take it with you to go. This is what I'm going to end up showing you, I guess. So this is Violet Afar. I'll put this here. This is what I've been using a lot, guys. So I'll put Callison on. Beautiful. And then I'll take Pearly Peony and I'll mix this in. And depending on how much pink you want, because this is a very bright pink, they did not spare expense when it comes to this color, but I clearly found out how to use it the best. And this color gives you a little bit of an awakening, and because we use that very vibrant peachy coral, this goes so nicely with it. So there are other colors in the Guerlain Kiss Kiss Bee Glow. I think this one happens to be a limited edition, but there are so many other colors that are not, that are very similar. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful combination. And this honestly lasts me for hours during my work day. And I talk a lot, I drink coffee, and it still looks very beautiful, very fresh. Last thing I'll talk about is if you want to open up your eyes. This is the Chanel Stylo Ombre et Couture in Nude Eclat 06, and I'll put this on my bottom waterline, and what it does, as you see, is opens up the eye. It just gives it a little more of a brightening effect. There's so many kinds of things that do this, so many brands, so many formulas. I also like to go just in the inner. You have a beautiful, juicy, healthy looking, glowy looking skin without being overdone, that looks like you but just enhanced. So this is the overall everyday look. Really, once you get this down pat, it doesn't take that long. It's just me explaining things through the process. But if you enjoyed this, if this helped you even a little bit, please like. If you're interested, subscribe. I mostly just want to help women of my age and women in general to feel their best, to help you feel comfortable in your skin and in your makeup. And so I hope this helped. Darlings, I hope you have a great day, a wonderful week, and I'll catch you in the next one.